Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. This is our daily editorial analysis, and my name is Alpa Sharma. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to everybody. Good morning, Vanshali. Good morning, Ashmita, Purva, Anjali, and everyone else on YouTube. Am I clearly visible and audible? Good morning. I am feeling much better today. I am so glad to feel better. Thank you so much, everyone, for asking. I feel really good today. Yes, thank you, everyone. I feel much better today. I feel much better. Yes, Urvashi, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. So, दो articles लेंगे आज, ठीक है? And बहुत बहुत सारी important चीजें बताऊंगी आपको मैं आज क्या होने वाला है. So the first article that I'm going to take today will be from the Hindu, and the other article that I'm going to take will be from the Hindu again, but from the text and context page. Very important article. I think this article can easily be framed into a reading comprehension. Okay. So though last night I slept at 3, I could not make a lot of questions, but today I tried to make some questions without options that you will to answer. So we are finally getting back on track, ठीक है? और दो तीन चीजें और बताऊंगी, क्लास जैसे जैसे कंटिन्यू करेंगे. So सबसे पहले if you're targeting the crash course and for CLAT 2022, our batch 2 for the crash course has been launched. So if CLAT 22 is your target, जल्दी से इस बैच के लिए एनरोल कर लो, नहीं तो बहुत लेट हो जाएगा, टाइम आपके पास नहीं बचा है क्लैट के लिए. और क्योंकि क्लैट की डीले की कोई नोटिफिकेशन नहीं आई है, क्लैट अभी भी हमारे लिए 1 मई को ही होने वाला है. इफ यू टारगेटिंग क्लैट 23 जो कि दिसंबर में होने वाला है, उसके लिए इफ दिस एग्जामिनेशन इज योर टारगेट, a new batch has been launched where I'll be teaching as well. So if this examination is your target, तो जल्दी से एनरोल कर लो, नहीं तो फिर आपके 12th का प्रेशर बढ़ता जाएगा और आपके लिए क्लियर करना थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट हो जाएगा. और इसलिए जल्दी से एनरोल कर लो. अगर आप एमएचसीटी, एलएट, एसलैट, बीलैट, जाम या ये लॉ एंट्रेंस एग्जामिनेशन टारगेट कर रहे हो, तो यू हैव अ न्यू बैच फॉर दिस बैच 2. इसके लिए भी आप जल्दी से एनरोल कर सकते हो बिकॉज इनका एग्जाम पैटर्न थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट होता है. ओके. अच्छा, एक क्वेश्चन, वेयर इज केडी सर, वो क्लास क्यों नहीं ले रहे? केडी सर has he contacted COVID. He is COVID positive. He needs a break. His throat needs a break. इसलिए केडी सर अभी कुछ दिनों से क्लास नहीं ले रहे हैं. But he is recuperating well. I hope वो जल्दी से वापस आके क्लासेस लेना स्टार्ट कर दें. Ma'am, please light me up with the tip to increase my vocabulary. Priyanshu, yes, I'll answer this question. जल्दी से. One, you have to be regular with my classes. Okay, you'll see the classes are specifically these Hindu classes. We have a lot of vocabulary here. And apart from the vocabulary that I give you, other articles that you read, I would expect you to take out the vocabulary and memorize that. These are the high frequency words. And apart from solving this vocabulary, you could also solve word power made easy by Norman Lewis. I think that's going to help you. All right, Priyanshu? Okay. So I am absolutely fine, everyone. Thank you so much for asking. I'm much better. Okay, ma'am. Danish, do you want me to take a session on it tomorrow? Danish, would you want me to take a session on this specific article of planetary adjustment tomorrow? If yes, then I can take one. Now that I'm better, okay? All right, ठीक है, cool. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Last but not the least, if you're targeting to study only legal affairs and current events, then batch 2 we've launched, which is a booster course where Nivedita and Abhimanyu will be teaching you specifically legal affairs and current events. So if this is your target, बाकी सब्जेक्ट नहीं पढ़ना है, सिर्फ ये दोनों पढ़ना है, तो जल्दी से बैच के लिए एनरोल कर लो. अब आज देखो क्या करेंगे, रिविजन तो देखो आज भी नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि थोड़ी सी इंटरमिटेंट चल रही थी मेरी क्लासेस और कल वोकैबुलरी बहुत ज्यादा नहीं था. बट 2 आर्टिकल्स लेंगे और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल एक है आज फ्रॉम द टेक्स्ट एंड कॉन्टेक्स्ट. विल बी डिस्कसिंग दैट इन डिटेल. We'll take out the vocabulary from these 2 articles, memorize that. In the end, you're going to tell me the tone of the author of each article. You can write down the summary of each article under my video in the comment section. and we'll look at today's Hindu and Indian Express and we'll see what are the important articles from today's newspapers that we need to read carefully. So that's what we're going to do. All right? Okay? All right. Okay, cool. तो आज बहुत हेक्टिक है स्केड्यूल. अभी तो और चीजें ऐड करूंगी बच्चे. आज और भी हेक्टिक होने वाला है स्केड्यूल. I have multiple sessions planned with you today which are not visible on our channel yet. I'll tell you. Okay? Why yesterday's session was not conducted from all of us faculties. There was a technical glitch and we could not go live altogether. For some reason, that technical glitch could not be resolved. But we're going to have another session soon on the same topic, that what topics do differently, and all of us are going to come together and we're going to talk about that. Okay, so I hope I've answered all of the questions. Let's start with the vocabulary quickly. The first word, chinas. We've done this word multiple times. Anything that requires effort because it is very, very important is going to be chinas. Anything that's significant is chinas. He holds a rather chinas position in the history. A significant position, an important position is genus. Okay? Yes. Trivial opposite हो गया इसका. Yes, Samar? The antonym, possibly. Good morning, everyone in the app. I feel so good to actually be back with all the energy. I hope I stay fit till CLAT happens. At least May CLAT happens. Okay? All right. Let's look at the other word. So the next word is unravel. Unravel is, okay, either bring it to the fore, okay, make it public. That is one unravel. The next is to solve something. That's the other contextual meaning of unravel. So to unravel a situation, that is to solve it. To unravel a mystery, that is again to solve it. It's a code basically. To unravel a situation is to unravel a mystery. That is solving it, giving it a solution, making it free of complications or difficulty is unravel. Okay? Yes. Good. Very good. Yes. Okay. The next word. Next word, spur. Spur, a sudden increment in something, growth in something, encouraging an activity or a development to make it increase faster is a spur. So increment or increment of speed, increment of numbers is a spur. Rising consumer sales have the effect of spurring the economy. That is betterment, development. That is the context here. But any increment can also be a spur, remember. Okay? Spur in the cases of COVID. So that is going to be the increment in the numbers. The last word, stem. So stemming out is to grow. It's like a growth of a branch that comes out of a tree. So that is stemming out. This project stems from last week's lecture. It grows out from last week's lecture. That is stem. Okay. Spur can be surge. Poster is a related word. Yes, Rebel, it is. Okay. Ignite, it is. Bulwark, it is. Arshita, very good. Uptake, growth, inducement. Yes, Shreya, Preeti, Vidant, all of you are right. Spur can be swift. Yes. Contextually, it can be used as swift. Okay. Spur can be, no. Stem can be spew. Yes, it can be. It can be spew as well. Oh, all right. Now let's move to the next slide. This is slide number 1. Let's move to the next slide here. So, stance. Stance that you hold is the position that you hold where you express your opinion and you firmly believe in that. Okay. So, the Prime Minister stands on foreign affairs. His opinion on foreign affairs and what he believes in that he publicly says and accepts is your stance. So what is your stance on reservation? What is your stance on the hijab controversy? That is, what is your opinion that you can publicly mention or express is your stance. Okay? Agreed, everyone? Yes. Stance can be standpoint. Yes, Riya, it can be point of view. Yes, it can be. Yes, very good. Shiba, I'm much better today. You can see that the spike in my voice. Yes, I'm much better today. Thank you everyone for asking. Cane stock Trunk, yes, Ragini, all for stem. Okay. Viewpoint, that is for stance, but stringent, rebel, no. Okay, stance is your opinion, exactly. Next word is the pie and minnows. Now, I'll not explain this right now. I'll explain this contextually. So, let's leave these words. They're basically big and small fish. Okay, that is all you need to know. But I'll explain the contextual usage later on in this slide. So, for now, you need to know pike and minnows are types of fish. Pike is a bigger one that eats the smaller fish. Usually, it eats up minnows. Next one is no. So, no is okay, when you give a carrot, a piece of carrot to a rabbit, a bunny, what does it do? It gnaws on it. That is, repetitively chewing on something, biting. When you give younger kids, they usually gnaw on everything because they have teeth coming up. So that is gnawing. A dog lay under the table, gnawing on a bone, constantly chewing on it and biting it is gnawing. All right. Yes. Thank you, Shiva. Okay. Stance can be take, Shafi? Yes. Stance can be opinion? Yes, Dipjot. Yes. Nibble, Ayushi? Yes. Nibbling. Just that, Ayushi, remember the difference between nibbling and gnaw would be gnaw is nibbling on it to evidently destroy it. That's the only difference between nibble and gnaw. Gnaw would be to constantly nibble on it so that ultimately it's destroyed. You harm it, you destroy it. That is okay. Chomp ho sakta hai. Very good. Bilkul Shreya ho sakta hai. Exactly. Yes, Ritik, standpoint is stance. And the last word for the second slide is tact. So tactics, that is a related word to tact. The way of dealing with a particular situation. How you see that, how you deal with that. How do we deal with our boards and our CLAT happening together? Tact is needed. So people won't listen. We have to try a different tact, a different tactics. That's a related word to it. So a strategy, a methodology to deal with a particular situation is tact. Slide number 2. जल्दी से screenshot ले लो सब लोग. Okay. Metal, yes, rebel. Very good. Resilient हो सकता है tact के साथ related word. ओके, टैकल के साथ भी हो सकता है, बिल्कुल हो सकता है. आप टैकल से भी, आप कैसे टैकल करोगे उसको, कैसे डील करोगे, टैकल से रिलेट करके याद कर लो उसको. इट्स इजी. ओके, लेट्स मूव टू द थर्ड स्लाइड. Nasty, nasty remark, unpleasant, bad. That's a nasty thing. It's a very nasty thing to hurt animals. Okay, so it's very bad or unpleasant. A nasty remark. Nasty could be a tone as well. All the caustic and derogatory tones could be nasty ones. A nasty shock or a nasty surprise. Acha surprise nahi tha, unpleasant surprise tha. That's a nasty one. The next word is mite. Very little. So I couldn't eat another mite, even a little piece of it, even a little bite of it. That's mite. And then you remember another word we had done, smite. Remember that, everyone? We did another word a few days back, that was smite. Awful is nasty, acerbic is nasty, meager is mite. Exactly. No, Shafi, nasty is not nadir. Nadir becomes the lowest point of something. Nasty is bahut kharab, very unpleasant. Okay, yes, rebel. Tad is mite. Tad is mite. Disgusting, yes, Shreya, is nasty. Very good. And can method be a synonym to tact? Yes, Rishabh, it can be. So now you know, Rishabh, कैसे increase हो रही है vocabulary. आप धीरे धीरे देखो, रेगुलरली चबाओगे, ये आपको बहुत सारे वर्ड्स रिपीटेड मिलेंगे. तो अभी जैसे मैंने स्माइट का मीनिंग पूछा, यूट्यूब में बहुत सारे लोगों ने बताना स्टार्ट कर दिया कि स्माइट भी हमने एक वर्ड यूज किया था. रेगुलरली करोगे vocabulary, that's your key to remember that. Smite is a small molecule, minuscule, yes. Scanty, meager, yes. All of these are synonyms to mite. And the last word is speck. Yes, Ragini, that is. Speck is a synonym to mite. My brother always starts gnawing his pen during his study. Yes, good example. Good example, Ritik. Okay, so pinchful, exactly. So the next word, next phrase, status quo. Yeah, आपको पता होगा because it's used so many times in the law-based articles. We're going to take a law-based article today and a difficult one, but a very interesting one. Let's try to understand that something of that sort can easily come in the examination as a reading comprehension. Status quo is the existing state of affairs, literally. So existing state of affairs, status quo. Certain people always want to maintain the status quo. They always want to maintain the existing state of affairs. The existing condition is status quo. बहुत common word है, बहुत बार आपको ये law based articles में मिलता है. Slide number 3. Quickly take a screenshot. Yes, rebel, it can be both. Both. Quality, quantity, anything that's lacking. Exactly, Ragini. Status quo is the status parameters and no change in the circumstances is the status quo. Exactly. So, okay. Yes. Cool. Now, before I move to the first article, two announcements. Today, 12:30, my BBA class on the YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep is going to happen after a long break now that I'm feeling better. So this is the first announcement. The second announcement. Today, precisely at 8:30 on our app. 8:30 on our app. BYJU'S Exam Prep, CLAT. I am going to take a marathon on critical reasoning. So I want to see all of you there at 8:30 in the night today. Okay? On our app, there's a marathon on critical reasoning. Third announcement. You want to study figure of speech? Yes or no? Tell me quickly before I come to the article. Partner figure of speech? In today's articles, articles are federal one and liberty one. No, Devjot, no. No. I'm not going to take that article. So, yes, पढ़ना है figure of speech. ठीक है? So, figure of speech की क्लास का टाइमिंग और कौन से प्लेटफॉर्म पे होगी वो क्लास के एंड में बताऊंगी मैं आपको. Either on app or YouTube because my video team is still in the process of figuring out where should they put it up. But I'm going to take a class on figure of speech today exactly at 5. App पे होगा या YouTube पे होगा ये क्लास के एंड में बता दूंगी मैं. Cool? So figure of speech करते हैं आज question solve करते हैं. We'll try to memorize that because last 3 years the figure of speech has been a very important topic. So we have a jam-packed day today. Okay? Yes, I'm going to make one on syllogism as well. Okay, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Yes, mini marathon, Rishabh. Yes, on our app. Mini marathon है, okay? All right. So the first article. Now see, this article is an easy one, and we quickly do it because the second article is going to take time. Why have I taken this article? A lot of you struggle with the basic concepts of economy and they are unable to construe that. So time to time, every month I take one article so that we are at par with what is happening in our economy. So that an article on economy, if it comes in the examination, you are able to grasp it. आप डरोगे नहीं कि भाई इकोनॉमी पे आर्टिकल आ गया, हाउ डू आई सॉल्व इट. ठीक है, तो टाइम टू टाइम एक इकोनॉमी पे आर्टिकल ले लेना चाहिए so that we are comfortable with the term and terminologies used here. So quickly let's skim through it and समझते हैं कि ये बात किस चीज की कर रहा है आर्टिकल. Okay, all right. ठीक है, questions? Ritik, both 22 and 23 both. Okay, chaliye let's start with teenus. Okay, so the Athena's tag. India's inflation based on the consumer price index quickened to 6.1% in January, which crossed the limit of tolerance of our central bank's limit of 6%. 6% तक हम tolerate कर सकते हैं. Anything beyond that, according to the central bank, we can't tolerate. And now it has become a 6.1. Not a big, huge increase, a marginal one, yet it has crossed that mark. So while the headline number was no surprise, given that the RBI had forecasted the acceleration, The RBI had already told us that it's going to increase. So this is not coming as a surprise to us. The official data merit scrutiny says this. Provisional estimates show the hinterland with its great proportion of the countries poor bore the brunt of rising food prices. Now what happens? When there's an inflation in our country, inflation का एक बुलवॉक होता है, एक सपोर्ट सिस्टम होता है फॉर द रिच. So ultimately, the impact of this inflation, even if a percent or 0.1% of increment, is going to affect the poor. So because basic food grains and prices would increase, oil prices would increase, and commodities that need to be basic necessity consumption commodities, their prices would increase. So the poor are going to suffer here. And the inflation was printing from 5.18% to 3.939%. The oils and fats quickened the fastest, which we Indians love consuming. Obviously, we do, it's a part of our daily diet, oils and fats, and its price increased by 18.7%. Though the RBI had been expected to start normalizing its pre-pandemic policy stance in February's monetary policy meeting. What is a pre-pandemic era policy stance? During the pandemic, we suffered a lot. A lot of things need to be changed because the entire world changed. Yes. But before the pandemic started, our economy was at a certain level. We expect our economy to fall back into the pre-pandemic era. That was our economy on a continuous acceleration of uptake growth. Yes. But this is becoming difficult, though it was a point of debate and discussion in the February's monetary policy meeting that how do we get back to our pre-pandemic era of policies, and it reaffirms its resolve to contain inflation. The central bank retained the status quo in order to support economic growth. So they said, okay, let's continue things how it's going on if we want economic growth. Okay, yes. No, the next article is not High Court and Supreme Court. जल्दी से करते हैं फिर बताती हूँ बहुत important है next article. The governor has defended the RBI's projection for inflation to slow to a 4.5% in 23. So अच्छी news है that 23 में 4.5% drop आ जाएगा inflation का. Good. Citing the base effects. Okay, so my daughter gave me this bottle. Sorry for the distraction, but so the RBI's assumptions, however, would unravel if the storm clouds on the horizon intensify. What is this storm cloud on the horizon? You know what's happening between Russia and Ukraine. If anything accelerates, it's going to have an impact on the entire world's economy. किसी भी पूरे वर्ल्ड में गोल्ड का प्राइस एंड जो क्रूड ऑयल का प्राइस है, ये दोनों चीजें सबसे ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट होंगी अगर ये अटैक हो जाता है तो. ऑब्वियसली सबसे ज्यादा क्रूड प्राइसेस अप जाएंगी बिकॉज उसका डिमांड इंक्रीज होगा इफ अ वॉर हैपेंस. यस, यू अंडरस्टैंड द बेसिक साइंस हियर? Understood? Yes, Prachi. Yes, my child. So, the basic science is the crude prices would go up because the demand would go up, including the price of gold going up. And when these two things happen, the entire world's economy is going to go through an upheaval. January's inflation in transport and communications, which reflects retail fuel prices, slowed a mite, only a little. So, both December, but it was still 9.36%. So, the idea of the entire two paragraphs is that things are not on the right track. And what is the stance of our central bank to curb this? Adding to this mix, the uneven economic recovery from the pandemic and the outlook gets even more cloudy. Because we are still struggling with the pandemic, which had disturbed our economy completely. So, if these things continue like this, our recovery is going to go on a slow pace. So IHS Markit, you know what that is? It's a organization that does economic survey. So IHS Markit's monthly survey of purchasing managers shows that though manufacturing output and new orders expanded last month, when the manufacturing output within a country increases, it aids on to the local economy of the country. And new orders also expanded. That means we either are going to have foreign exchange or we're going to have the increased purchasing power of the people in the country. अगर domestic demand increase हुई है तो purchasing power parity बढ़ी है, अगर international demand increase हुई है तो foreign exchange आएगा. दोनों ही बहुत अच्छा साइन है लास्ट मंथ का. That means growth rate अच्छी हो सकती है. Uncertainty around growth prospects stem from concerns about inflationary pressures. But since our inflation has crossed the mark that we can tolerate, it might not have a very good impact. Though this is a comforting decline from no, this line is not important here. This is undesirable as the NSO's advanced estimates second of GDP growth for the current fiscal show private consumption expenditure still lagging behind the pre-pandemic. What is private consumption expenditure? I had explained that to you. Who's going to tell me this? What is private consumption expenditure? Which one, Ragini? Which one should I explain again, bache? And of course, increase of employment as well. Not unemployment, employment. What is private consumption expenditure? Very quickly, everyone. Somebody is drilling. I hope that noise does not disturb you. What is it? Private consumption expenditure. Quickly. Nobody knows that? Layman term. Exactly. I want to buy basic things, not diamonds and villas. Basic things for my livelihood. Yes, I want to buy basic things. The amount of money I spend or I'm ready to spend on my personal expenditure, my readiness to spend on that is the private consumption expenditure. We took a dip during the pandemic. Obviously, because nobody knew if the jobs are going to go on, how the economy is going to resurface. Thus, the expenditure a person is willing to do for his personal consumption of, I go to the market and buy this bottle. Yes, that is my private consumption expenditure. How much am I willing to spend? That is obviously going still lagging behind the pre-pandemic level of financial year 20. Still, people are not willing to make expenditure on their private consumption. Possibly they're not earning enough or they're scared of spending. Any worsening on this front could challenge the RBI's objective of holding down interest rate to support growth. Growth को कंटिन्यू करने के लिए आरबीआई ने अपनी इंटरेस्ट रेट को कंट्रोल किया हुआ था. यस, बिकॉज द मोमेंट दे इंक्रीज इट, एक्सपेंडिचर लोगों का इंक्रीज होगा. इफ द एक्सपेंडिचर फॉर प्राइवेट कंजम्पशन कंटिन्यूज टू बी लो, this is going to impact the RBI's goal of controlling the interest rates to accelerate our growth. With the Governor Das asserting the price stability remains the prime focus, that is, though increment in the price of the basic commodities, stability is needed. The RBI must be ready to rapidly recalibrate its inflation projects and shift policy stance to match its mandate or risk hurting its credibility. Tone of the author here, very quickly, everyone. What is the tone? Ali, पढ़ाई कर लो बच्चे, पढ़ाई कर लो. नेक्स्ट पैसेज में बच्चे, इसमें इंफरेंस क्वेश्चन बन ही नहीं सकता, ये बिल्कुल फैक्चुअल पैसेज है. ओके गुलशन, नेक्स्ट पैसेज में इंफरेंस क्वेश्चन. टोन ऑफ द ऑथर. From which IIM am I? Okay, so since this question has come on a public platform, I have never been to an IIM, but I have scored a 99.99 percentile in my CLAT verbal ability section, which I can proudly quote. Okay, 99.99 means इतने बच्चे मेरे से नीचे हैं, अगर लेमन टर्म में आप पूछते हो जो एग्जाम देते हैं तो. ओके, सो एनालिटिकल, यस इट्स एनालिटिकल, एंड कंसर्निंग, ट्रू, इट्स कंसर्निंग एज वेल. Yes. Concerning and analytical. Correct. All right. Now let's quickly move to the second article. I'll go slow with the second article because it's difficult. So we'll try to understand the details of that. Here we go. Concerning and analytical. Yes, you're right. So here we go. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Hmm. So, negative liberty. लिबर्टी की बहुत बात हो रही थी पिछले कुछ वीक से. लिबर्टी की ना दो, देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ लिबर्टीज according to Isaiah Berlin, and we're going to discuss what are these two types of two concepts of liberty and which one is more important in a democratically elected governance. Okay, so our liberty to follow any religion, to wear any kind of clothing, our liberty to roam around freely. There are multiple types of liberties our constitution assures that we are able to do a few things. Okay. All right, just a minute. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. अच्छा, ठीक है. So, one concept of liberty is the negative liberty, and the other concept is positive liberty. When you, as a layman, read the terms positive and negative liberty, you may think कि negative liberty का मतलब हो गया है I can do anything, but then I take it in a negative manner. No, that is not what negative liberty is. Please understand what she has to say about these types of liberty. There are inference questions. Please understand carefully. The first is negative liberty, which revolves around the existence of a private sphere where an individual can do as they please. I can do whatever I want. It's my personal liberty. And it is free from any interference. You don't tell me what to wear. I can wear anything and go to the college or school. But it becomes a negative liberty where it is free from any kind of interference. I'll tell you why is the term negative used here. The second is positive liberty, which refers to the act of taking control over one's life and realizing its fundamental purposes. What is the fundamental purpose of my life? According to the fundamental purpose, I can take liberty to a few things. That's a positive liberty. Now let's see what is the impact of both the kinds of liberty on the existence of a person in a democratically elected society. Okay? Everyone understand that very clearly because such an article can easily come in the examination. Okay? Alright, so here we go. While the political left has supported positive liberty, you know left. Okay, let me show you a graph here. Okay, left, center and right. तो हम बोलते हैं ना राइट विंग गवर्नमेंट है या लेफ्ट विंग गवर्नमेंट है या सेंट्रिस्ट है. So basically, the right wing believes in the fact that we have certain rules, we have certain ancestry, and we're going to follow that. Whereas left says, no, there are no set of rules, everything is your liberty. Okay? And we can easily go beyond our set of rules or our ancestry. A centrist government is the one which is in between both of them. Okay? In a neutral stance. So, the political left has supported the positive liberty. Is that there are no set of rules, no ancestry, and the purpose of your existence will determine how much liberty is given to you. The political right and libertarians support negative liberty, obviously for obvious reasons, because they say ye mera individual left, what a change. Yes, you can say that. Yes, you could say that. This is from the Hindu's text and context. All right. So obviously the right want negative liberty. The notion of negative and positive liberty broadly determine how the governments function. Obviously कितनी liberty देनी चाहिए, completely free from any interference होनी चाहिए या interference होना चाहिए. तो जो गवर्नमेंट पावर में है वो लेफ्ट है या राइट है, उस पर डिपेंड करता है कि वो पॉजिटिव को सपोर्ट करती है या नेगेटिव को सपोर्ट करती है. If a government increases the provision of its welfare services, It means that it is cutting down on the economic freedoms of some classes. वो वेलफेयर सर्विस कहां से आएगा? वेलफेयर सर्विस फॉर एग्जांपल, मुझे वेलफेयर करना है एक्स कास्ट के लोगों का, तो मैं वाई कास्ट के लोगों की कुछ सीटें कम करके एक्स कास्ट को दे दूंगी। यस, अब इस एक्स कास्ट को एक्स्ट्रा सीटें देने से क्या हुआ? वेलफेयर हुआ इनका, लेकिन ये वेलफेयर will come at a cost, the cost of any other section suffering. Obviously, that's how the welfare, if there is a welfare scheme, for example, free food grains for people, who's going to pay for that? People who earn higher and the higher taxes that are charged from them. So it's a balance. If one gains, the other is going to lose something, and that's how the balance is created. In order to assess certain goods and services, the welfare services would be freedom for some classes and lesser freedom to other classes. Libertarians argue that there should be a minimum area of personal freedom which must on no account be violated. कुछ ऐसे एरियाज होते हैं लिबर्टी के जो किसी भी केस में वायलेट नहीं होने चाहिए, बट Berlin says no man's activity is so completely private. Read the line very carefully. There's a question coming up here. Very carefully, okay? Very carefully. लेफ्ट और राइट गवर्नमेंट वाला कंसेप्ट नहीं आया समझ में? वापस समझाती हूँ, रुको मैम, रुको, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन दैट अगेन। अच्छा, मुझे एक एग्जांपल दो, एक लेफ्ट गवर्नमेंट का और एक राइट गवर्नमेंट का। गिव मी एन एग्जांपल। Although extremely right और extremely left गवर्नमेंट्स हमारी कंट्री में फ्यू हैं, लेफ्टिस्ट सेंट्रिस्ट है, राइटिस्ट सेंट्रिस्ट है हमारे कंट्री में, यस, बट गिव मी एग्जांपल्स एंड देन आई विल एक्सप्लेन। ठीक है, ऑलराइट। सो द आइडियोलॉजी सेज whatever kind of governance you have, if you have a left government or a right government, for example, leftist center would be Congress, a little bit right to center would be BJP, okay, not completely left, not completely right. Completely right का example हो जाता है a communist party, completely left, yes, that's completely left, all right. Communist Party, exactly. So बीजेपी और कांग्रेस somewhere in between आते हैं, completely right नहीं होते, completely left नहीं होते. So the ideology in this article says whatever government you have, if you have a leftist or a rightist government, according to the government, your liberties would be defined. आपकी लिबर्टी अगर नेगेटिव है या पॉजिटिव है, ये आपकी गवर्नेंस पे डिपेंड करता है। तो क्योंकि जितनी भी लेफ्ट गवर्नेंस है वो पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी को सपोर्ट करती हैं, पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी डिपेंड्स ऑन योर लिबर्टी जो कि लिमिटेड होती है, वो स्टेम आउट कहां से करती है? वो स्टेम आउट करती है आपके फंडामेंटल एग्जिस्टेंस से, जो कि चेंज हो सकती है, जिनमें इंप्रूवमेंट हो सकता है। Whereas the right support the negative liberty, वो ये बोलते हैं कि ये मेरा प्राइवेट स्फीयर है, you don't meddle into my private sphere, ये मैं डिसाइड करूंगी मुझे क्या पहनना है स्कूल जाते टाइम पे, ये हो गया राइट। गॉट दैट? तो मैं स्कूल जाते टाइम क्या पहनना चाहती हूँ, मैं क्या खाना चाहती हूँ, where which place should I worship in, you don't meddle with me, you don't interfere into my liberty. That's the belief of a right government. So जो भी गवर्नमेंट पावर में होती है वो गवर्नमेंट डिसाइड करती है कि राइट नेगेटिव लिबर्टी आपको मिलती है या पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी आपको मिलती है, ओके? Got that? Now let's move on with the next line. This line is very important. Please read that and answer this question. Read this line and answer this question. No man's activity is so completely private as never to obstruct the lives of others in any way. She argued, he argued, negative liberty must be restricted sometimes for the sake of other values such as equality and justice. Why should negative liberty be restricted? Answer the question in the chats. Video team, I want you to be a little more active right now and ban everybody who's indulging into an unnecessary conversation right now. Answer the question in your words. What did you understand with the line and why should negative liberty be restricted? What is wrong with negative liberty here? Very good, Grey Smoke. Very good. Looks like you're the only attentive child here. एक दिन पहले का सौरभ. Okay. Because it may lead to confine the rights of other individuals. Exactly. So, Berlin said, no liberty can be such that is personal to you, but it does not obstruct anyone else's liberty in any way. That means if you have a personal liberty and you say, okay, this is my personal liberty and you don't meddle with mine, it cannot be true that this is continued without obstructing the lives of other people in any way. तो आप इसको हिजाब कंट्रोवर्सी से करके देखो, आप इसको किसी और लिबर्टी के साथ, फॉलोइंग एनी रिलीजन के साथ करके देखो कि तुम मेडल मत करो मेरे साथ. ऐसे में दैट्स नॉट माय स्टैंस कि क्या सही है क्या गलत है, हिजाब अलाउ होना चाहिए होना चाहिए. प्लीज डोंट पुल मी इनटू एनी पॉलिटिकल डिबेट. The idea is that whatever your personal liberty is, मैं हिजाब पहन के जाऊं या मैं साड़ी पहन के जाऊं, मैं कुछ भी पहन के जाऊं, अगर मैंने ये बोल दिया कि ये मेरी पर्सनल लिबर्टी, आप मेडल मत करो, तो ये कहीं ना कहीं बाकी लोगों की लाइफ्स को इम्पैक्ट तो करेगा. सो एक इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी कभी भी ऐसी नहीं हो सकती है जो सिर्फ अकेले की लिबर्टी होती है और किसी को इम्पैक्ट नहीं करती है. इसीलिए जो एक्सट्रीमली नेगेटिव लिबर्टी है, इट नीड्स टू बी कर्ब्ड एंड रिस्ट्रिक्टेड. ओके. Exactly. So don't pull me into any debate. I'm not saying wearing hijab should be allowed or not. It's completely your own personal decision. It could be a hijab or it could be wearing a pangwa cloth as well. Alright? Exactly. Now, everyone defends freedom. All of us, you and I, we want freedom. The freedom to speak, move, act, eat, practice any religion we want. But what does freedom, a concept that has been redefined and revisited innumerable times by scholars, really mean? What does freedom mean? Because there's a lot of debate on the word of freedom. Freedom of speech, for example, there's a lot of debate. There are so many amendments that have happened till date. क्या है freedom of speech? आप किस level तक उसको utilize कर सकते हो? Remember उत्तराखंड feud, the Haridwar feud, remember that? So, what is freedom? So Berlin says in his seminal essay, two concepts of liberty. Again, he explains what is the negative one and what is the positive one. Negative liberty that revolves around the existence of private sphere where an individual can do whatever he she pleases to. ये मेरी liberty है. Free from interference of any kind. अब कोई भी interference नहीं होगा तो आप illegal चीज में भी जा सकते हो, right? Where from other individuals, communities, the state or by oppression of social forces. सोसाइटी मुझे नहीं बताएगी मुझे क्या करना है. That's negative liberty. No external barriers, no constraints. And then there is positive liberty, which refers to the act of control over one's life and realizing its fundamental purpose. I am in a society, I have to act. मेरा देखो सिंपल एग्जाम्पल समझो, पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी और नेगेटिव में क्या डिफरेंस है. फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, आई से ये मेरा है लिबर्टी, आई कैन से एनीथिंग आई वांट टू. वो नेगेटिव है जब वो किसी और को हार्म करता है. वो पॉजिटिव है जब आप अपनी सोसाइटी में स्टैंडिंग देखते हो कि मैं जो बोल रहा हूं क्या वो किसी को हर्ट कर सकता है. अगर कर सकता है तो मैं मेरी लिबर्टी को लिमिटेड यूटिलाइज करूं, सोच समझ के यूटिलाइज करूं, क्योंकि मेरा फंडामेंटल पर्पस है एक सोसाइटी में होना और मैं सोसाइटी का ही एक मेंबर हूं. So thinking of that and then using your liberty is a positive liberty. Yes, got that? Exactly. Yes, almost everyone gets it. Freedom is the right of someone, or yes, exactly, it is. All right. So that the liberty for all is maintained. Okay. So now another question coming up. Read this paragraph and tell me why is the example given in this line, in this paragraph. Read it and answer that in the chat right now. Monday से options बना के लेके आऊंगी. Read that. Am I audible and visible now? Can you hear and see me clearly, everybody? Yes, answer the question. Okay. Ali says the bigger things always eat the smaller things, and there is not freedom. Okay. Freedom of majority will kill the in effect the freedom of minority. Okay. Freedom hint at the fact that others' liberty is always hindered. Exactly. Exactly. Very good, Grace Folk. I appreciate the way you are looking at the passage. If a person is given a liberty, it will always come at a cost. The liberty of the pike is to eat the smaller fish, and it's going to do that, and that will cost the life to a minnow. That is always liberty to one, extreme liberty to one, negative liberty to one will always cost a liberty to somebody who is smaller or somebody who is not at an advantageous position. Does not necessarily mean you're okay. Does not necessarily mean your size. It means you are at in a position that is not giving you any advantage. All right. So here we go. So he argued that some people's freedom must sometimes be curtailed to secure the freedom of others. That is एक मिनो का freedom. पाइप क्या होता है बेटे? एक बड़ी मछली होती है, मिनो छोटी मछली होती है. ये बड़ी मछली छोटी मछली को खा जाती है. ठीक है? तो एक इसकी अगर फ्रीडम इंश्योर करनी है ना मुझे, तो मुझे इसकी फ्रीडम को रोकनी पड़ेगी. ये बड़ी मछली छोटी को खा नहीं सकती है. That is the idea. That sometimes to secure the freedom of others, somebody else's freedom need to be curtailed. इसलिए नेगेटिव लिबर्टी कि मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूं, ये मेरी लिबर्टी है, ये काम नहीं करती है सोसाइटी में, क्योंकि कभी कभी आपको अपनी लिबर्टी गिव अप करनी पड़ती है किसी और की फ्रीडम और लिबर्टी को सिक्योर करने के लिए. Negative liberty, and that's exactly what happens with reservation. That's exactly what happens with reservation. आपको अपनी सीट देनी पड़ेगी किसी और की लिबर्टी को इंश्योर करने के लिए. Negative liberty must be restricted for the sake of other values such as equality and justice. This is not to say that negative liberty is not important. In conditions where powerful churches, castes, organization, or the state is hell-bent on controlling every aspect of personal life. So this is an example why negative liberty is important. In societies that are very coercive societies, so coercive governance, ऐसे केस में नेगेटिव लिबर्टी ही एक रेवोल्यूशन लेके आती है. अंडरस्टूड दैट? Oh, sorry, Ragini, I'm sorry. Sorry, Ragini, I'm sorry. So, in a society that's a very coercive society, in a government that's a very coercive government, negative liberty is the only one that can bring a revolution. If the society decides who you marry, what kind of family you need, how many children can you have, what kind of clothing should you be wearing, 1 week of no laughter because the king is not happy. In that kind of societies, negative liberty is important. We can say, oh, you don't meddle into my life. However, he wrote, indifference to public life means that nasty political bombs can gnaw on it. if I'm indifferent to public life, I am going to be a dictator then. And that is not the right way of any society. A stronger concern for the public good is a necessary concern for private liberty, which will be ensured by negative liberty only in such conditions where the government is coercive. Last paragraph, I think. Yes. Berlin's ideas have been critiqued by other scholars who say he never made clear the distinction between positive and negative liberty. He lived and wrote during a period of history which saw the ideas of positive freedom exploited to justify horrific atrocities such as the Holocaust. Brilliant example of how negative liberty was necessary here. Because Holocaust ensured nobody gets any liberty, specifically the Jews. This, they argue, is no justification for associating positive liberty with totalitarian regime. Because here, totalitarian regime was defeated only with the idea of negative liberty. They argue that far from being forced to adopt their ideas prominent, so ये सब criticism है अभी बर्लिन के idea का. While several philosophers after Berlin have attempted to expand his ideas, his essay remains the go-to paper for understanding the concepts of positive and negative liberty, for understanding how the governments across the world should use liberty and how to expand or how to restrict the freedom given to people. Tone of the author, everybody. I would love to see your summary of this article under my video in the comment section. I would love to see that today. This article's summary under my video. North Korea, yes. Okay, tone. No, 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 not critical. No, not critical. Very good, Shafi. That's the way to move out of it. It's not the point. No, no debate needed. It's analytical or expository, rather more of expository one. He is explaining the entire idea of Berlin's book and his ideology on liberty. It's expository, explanatory, descriptive. Yes, it isn't critical. No, it's expository. The author does not express any opinion here. It's expository. Okay. Now, before I move ahead, let me tell you. Okay. So, first thing, I'm going to have a marathon today, mini marathon today at 8:30 on our app on critical reasoning. So if you're struggling with critical reasoning, see me there. Two, I'm going to have a class on figure of speech today at 5. But I'm not sure if it's going to be on the app or YT. You have to check out both the places to see where it's going to happen. But I'm going to have a session on figure of speech today at 5. Make sure you attend that because figure of speech is supremely important and I'm going to explain few very difficult figure of speech to you today. Okay? 3 at 12:30 on the BBA channel. I'm going to have a class on miscellaneous questions and their discussions. Okay? So you can on verbal ability. So you can see me there as well on the BBA channel. 4. Let's look at today's newspaper and see what are the important articles we need to read today and what are the articles we can skip from the Hindu and the Indian Express today. Okay? और very likely कल भी एक हिंदू क्लास होगी, बता दूंगी होगी कि नहीं होगी, होगी very likely, क्योंकि आज एक आर्टिकल आया है हिंदू में, अभी बताती हूँ जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट अगर मुझे लगेगा तो मैं कल क्लास ले लूँ. Let me see. Let me share today's newspaper in the back. Second, yes, there it is. Ah, oh no. Just a minute, guys. Just a minute. Second, guys. Sorry. Here we go. ठीक है, देखते हैं न्यूज़पेपर आज का क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है। फर्स्ट आर्टिकल, नो रूम फॉर ब्राविडो। पढ़ लेना इसको, हाँ ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। इंडिया हैज स्टिल गेट अ गुड ग्रिप ऑन रोड सेफ्टी। यस, स्किम कर लेना इसको, इजी है, स्किम कर लेना। ओ, रोड सेफ्टी से मुझे याद आया, यू नो व्हाट हैपेंड टुडे व्हेन आई वोक अप इन द मॉर्निंग, देयर आई वेंट टू माय balcony, and right in front of my balcony there was a tree, and a woman climbed the tree. She was alive, she did not do anything to herself, she climbed the tree at the top and she refused to come down. पावर कट हो गया था मेरे घर में, क्लास कैंसिल होने वाली थी, 2 hours people coaxed her to come down, she did not come down. The fire brigade had to come. She was asked to come down. She climbed even higher. 2 hours. No electricity. ये मेरी हिंदू क्लास कैंसिल करवा देती आंटी. Sanitary adjustment. Skim. Okay. This also skim. Not important. Is the post-Cold War scrutiny changing? Skim. आज कुछ भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है बच्चे, एक बार टेक्स्ट एंड कॉन्टेक्स्ट देखते हैं। Miracle cure against HIV? Yes. Okay. Yes. Next one. I don't know why she climbed. I don't know. She was unhappy with that. Ah. Okay. ये भी skip. कौन सा आर्टिकल नहीं समझ में आया था आपको बच्चे? ऐप में? Which article did you not get? Which article did you want me to take? Light me up with the tip. Which one is it? Okay, next newspaper देखते हैं चलिए. Let's look at the last page. No. Don't read this. This is good. Now let's look at the Indian Express. The RBI needs to keep in mind for a new digital currency scheme. 22 polls leave. Virus seems to be on a decline, but there is no scope for complacency. Read. Punjab CM's remarks leave. Ranji Trophy returns after the pandemic post break. Yes. JNU needs the healing touch of hope. Yes. Take in the hijab issue. Kim. Liberals stand on hijab. That's all. कोई भी आर्टिकल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं लग रहा बच्चे. Okay. All right, guys. Okay, so winding up the class. I'll see you at 12:30, and then 5, and then again at 8:30. Bye, everyone. Have a very, very good day, and God bless all of you. Coming today, Tesseract at 12:30.